Welcome to The Impossible Shift. I'm your host, Jennifer Benson. Every person has a story, a moment that changed them, a challenge that tested them, a choice that shaped who they would become. On this podcast, we explore those stories through conversations about healing, identity, resilience, purpose, and personal transformation. We'll uncover the lessons that emerge when people face life's most difficult moments and choose to keep moving forward. Because transformation rarely happens all at once. It happens one choice at a time. Thank you for joining us. Let's begin. Welcome to The Impossible Shift. My name is Jennifer Benson and I am your host today. We have the wonderful pleasure of having Dante Fleming here with us today. Dante Fleming is an actor and independent filmmaker based in Florida, with experience both in front and behind the camera. He has written and directed multiple short films while continuing to pursue acting professionally and work in the film production. He recently just finished his psychological horror film, Voices, that currently is in festival submission. His work focuses on emotionally grounded storytelling, intimate character-driven drama, and cinematic realism. Dante is currently preparing his first feature film, Behind the Scene, a raw, grounded, emotional romance drama. Let's welcome Dante. Dante?
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me. I'm Dante Fleming, and I was born from New York and raised in Florida, St. Cloud, Florida. And when it comes to acting and filmmaking, that's always been something I've loved doing. Like, I've had a big interest in it since I was 4, when I first saw Spider-Man 2 in theater. I was sad that Spider-Man 2 was not real, that Spider-Man did not exist. But when I saw Behind the Scene, I said, that is what I want to do. And I remember at a young age, I wanted to do acting. I've always wanted to. And my parents, they procrastinated, I would say, because as a kid, when you want to get into acting, you got to have your parents with you. And but instead, I would go to acting classes, drama classes in school, from middle school all the way to 12th grade, and I finished. And that's where I also did my first theater play called To Kill a Mockingbird. And that's when I realized, I said that, okay, I'm serious. This is what I really want to do. And after I graduated, I was trying to go to a conservatory school, an acting school. But unfortunately, COVID came. And then that's when I just said, I can't do this, because getting into the industry, especially during COVID, it was hard to get into. Like, my toe wasn't in the industry. I tried everything under the sun to get in. I even made skits during my adolescent years. I even made cringe-worthy skits to hone my acting skills. And until one day during the COVID era, I needed money. And I remembered that I met someone in the neighborhood that we were talking. He was a musician and I was interested in doing cameras. And he saw one of my videos that I did, one of my skits that I did, and he thought it was pretty cool. He saw some potential, and I said, okay. So I shot some music videos as well with him, and I didn't know anything about music videos or editing music videos, but I did it anyway because I needed the money, and I got paid pretty small, but something's better than nothing. And slowly, as I was doing these music videos, the love of film, of storytelling, slowly started to come back to me. And I said, you know what, I want to do filmmaking. In a way, skits was in a way kind of storytelling. So why not tell stories as well? And on top of that, Dante, you're also an actor, so why not also create your own stories as well? You can also be in other people's stories, so why not create your own stories, right? So then that's when I decided to take that try. And I tried to connect with everyone without going to film school. And it was hard to connect without going to film school from my experience, because people were procrastinating and no one didn't really take it as seriously as I could. So then that's when I say, you know what? I'm going to go to Full Sail. And I went to Full Sail and I was there for 10 months and I was learning way more. I was learning on framing, on composition, on lighting and sound. So much things that people overlook when watching a movie. You know, a lot of people are usually intrigued with stories, but those stories come from not only the storyteller, but also from the crew as well. Like, because filmmaking is a collaborative thing. And all that skill that I learned from those, I incorporated it into my own, leading me to do some of these projects as a one-man crew, even. Like, I will do lights, I will do camera, I will do sound, and act in them. As a matter of fact, I've done 5 shorts. Yeah, 4 shorts. Yeah, 4 shorts where I've done everything. I did editing, sound design, color grading, lighting, compositions, and I love it. I love what I do. My goal is to get involved, to bigger projects, like act in bigger projects and, act in movies with Marvel or Netflix or HBO, but it's the journey it is to get there, And after I graduated film school, I met this guy named Jimmy Blanco, and he's a phenomenal cinematographer. He's like, he's like a brother to me. And that's where he also gave me his techniques, and, he took me under his wing, and I joined a lot of projects back to back while also I was working a 9 to 5. And I was making all these connections and meeting all these people and going to these film festival events and asking so many questions to everybody on what I could learn and how to get better with my artistry. And I just been going to projects back to back while also working 9 to 5. And I would tell you from experience, going on a production gig while also working a 9 to 5 is pretty difficult, because productions can be 12 hours, 13 hours. I've been on sets for 17 hours, 16 hours, I've been on sets for a while, but as grueling it was, I love it. I love what I do. And until one day I started doing all these productions, and I was in a position where in my own personal life, it started to get a little bit hectic. Now, this is where the impossible shift comes in. The impossible shift was my mindset. At first, I was, what do I say? How do I say it? I was fresh and new, but I was also a bit uncertain. I wanted to slowly work my way from going to doing production full time. But sometimes life doesn't always happen that way. I went from uncertain to, Dante, you can't afford it. You got to be confident in what you do. That gap was, my last job was a warehouse job, and unfortunately I got laid off. So until then I was applying for other jobs, but no jobs were hiring. So the production gig was all I have. And one thing I would say was that thankfully I had experience in connections before the last day of my job. But my mindset started to shift up until the last day of my job, where it was, Dante, you have no other option now. Now this is the time to give everything you got into this, giving everything into all the knowledge that you had, all the experiments that you had, all the projects that you've done, all the auditions that you've done. Now this is your time to give everything that you do. This is your time to give everything that you got and make all the connections you can, and also learn as much as you can. I mean, you've already learned, but continue to keep learning. Don't act like you know it all. have humility and keep learning, and also make connections still. And also, this is a time where you cannot hold your punches, and you can't afford to think negatively and be pessimistic or uncertain. That's going to happen, but don't let that consume you. So this is a time where you have to really give everything you got. And then after that last day at my job, everything's been okay since. So, I just been joining production gigs back to back, freelance, which is good. But being a freelance production crew is not what I solely want to do. What I solely want to do, well, not solely, but what I really want to do is also make films and act in films. So I consistently, have been going to auditions. But when it comes to, and I've also been making short films to build my reels. So as an actor and also as a filmmaker, that I've learned, from lights to cameras, like I said before, I incorporated to making my own short films and acting in them so I can use those for my acting reel. And I've submitted some to agencies, and, I'm signed with an agent now. And with the money that I get paid from these gigs, I take some of them and using it to fund my first feature film. And it's going well. So the mindset that I have now is, Dante, be humbled and also go all gas, no brakes. Like, give everything you got into this and just love it. And the reason why I do this is not only because I love it, but also when it comes to the type of stories that I tell, my purpose is to give hope in general. Like, growing up, I love superheroes. To this day, I'm 25 and I love superheroes, But and the thing about superheroes is that they give hope. And that's my purpose as Dante, is to give hope to people, not only through just my actions and my words, but also through my stories. The stories that I tell, it can be a bit unsettling. It can be a bit, not disturbing, unsettling. It can make you feel uncomfortable, but it's emotional truth that I chase for. But it still ends with hope, and that's what I do with my stories. And I truly love what I do, and I truly love my friends, Jimmy Blanco and Tamala Allen and Lynette Potts. I love them dearly with all my heart, because they have been there through thick and thin, and through all the struggles and adversaries that I went through in my own personal life, they were there. And also through those adversaries, this is where I learned to give everything I got and to shift my mindset to, Dante, don't be so pessimistic. You're going to have new struggles, but you also are more resilient because of your past struggles. And that's my impossible shift.
Thank you, Dante. Oh, I love your story. I think it's going to inspire a lot of people. Thank you so much for sharing it.
Of course.
Amazing. Well, folks, thank you so much for tuning in today. That was Dante. We look forward to seeing you next time on The Impossible Shift. Until next time, take care. Thank you for joining me for this episode of The Impossible Shift. If today's conversation resonated with you, I invite you to share it with someone who may need to hear it. You can learn more about The Impossible Shift, explore resources, books, coaching, and upcoming projects at theimpossibleshift.com. Until next time, remember, choice is your power. I'll see you at the next episode.